Yeah. Oh, there one, no,
Really wasn't.
no, we only dated. Only dated.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hafenu v'dvarim. It's already a tradition going on 18 years. Neis Menachem Mendel to do 10 or 12 short Divrei Torah, Mashalim, and stories. The cover the Seder. Tradition has to be kept. If there's one person here or three people here. Hagaddah Shurchatz. The Rebbe writes in his Hagaddah that this is brought in Machzer Vitri. These Simonim Kadosh Urchatz are brought Beseder Orach Shesider Reb Shlomo Reb Yitzchak Zatzal Rashi V'yeshamim Ke'echem Mebala HaToisvus Reb Shmuel Mipalaiza, and it's brought in the Ur Zarua Simeration Vav. He's the one that authored the Simonim Kadosh Urchatz. One of the years, at the end of the Fabringen Rosh Hashanah, Zalman Duchman, and he said, from the new Vada Masader, we want to be Moidia, the Shade of it Zain Azoi. To Zain Berchas Hamozen, Maidiv, Havdolah, the Rebbe Teln Kosha Brocha, and the Vada Masader bet as Mazalhiten the Seder. All of a sudden, the Rebbe said like this: the Seder with Zain Azoi. Toidem Kol, Matarangin Anaya Yor, Lashona Toivom Sukkah. Met lernen asach Toide, Nigle, Vechasidis. Meveton asach mitzvahs behidur. And before that, the Eibishter will give a ksivach Zimmer Toive, Shona Toivom Sukkah, Bebonim, and asach Geld. Broches, Hatzloches, Yeshuas, V'nechames, wie die Freuen sagen, noch Avdolah. Es ist sein, Shona Toive, Begashmis, Beruchnis. And then the Rebbe said, Azoy de Vada Masada geheißen und man darf folgen. Azoy de Vada Masada geheißen und man darf folgen. Wow. So, Pashtus, the Simonim are, in order to, it's so confusing, so, but Api Musar and Api Soy, there's a tremendous amount of inyonim in the side of Kadosh Urchatz. Okay, let's go to next. We start the Seder, and we announce, called the King Yesev Eichel, called the Tzriach Yesev Yifzach. If I'm inviting guests now, people tell me already, Rabbi, I'm already, I'm already booked for all the meals. The night of the Seder, in the middle of the Seder, bestellt sich weg, and was called the Fin. Yesh loyma b'derech efshar like this. The Gemara says, Rebbe Lezer, yo pruta la'oni v'oda matzli. It's brought in Shulchan Aruch, Siman Tzadik Beis, as a din b'poel mamish. Even though there's a lot of anhogas taivas is brought from Amoyroim, not everything is brought in Shulchan Aruch. L'poel, this is brought as a din in Shulchan Aruch. What's the pshat of the din? The pashtus, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing everything mida keneged mida. When I get up in the morning and I ask, the child is who I deserve what I ask for. Moshe Rabbeinu said, Veschanan, I want a matnas chinam. Rashi said, he said, even though tzaddikim could ask for what they deserve, but he wants to ask a matnas chinam. Zok, what's pshat matnas chinam? The Gemara says, Iyav de yovle, the avidle, neiche de nafshe, lo yovle matanta. That's why matana is a shtickle like a mechira. To many things. For example, if a community wants to give away a building that belongs to Hektish, so it has to be money has to go. Can't just give the building away. So it has to. But the matana is considered like money because if the community didn't want to give it to, probably they're giving it to someone as a matana because of some big favor he did or will do. So matnas chinam means chinam. We want from the Eibishter chinam. So mida keneged mida. If I'm going to find an oni. Rebbe Lezer said, just like in the morning before I daven. I didn't think Does he deserve? He not deserve? I found the oni and I gave him. So the same thing, mida connected mida, the Eibishter will give him. And it's brought in Shulchan Aruch as a din. The Chassidus brings from Orchos Tzadikim that Avraham Avinu was a nodiv begufoi, a nodiv benishmosai, and a nodiv b'mamoinai. So every Yid has to be in these three things: begufoi, to help another Yid beguf, with his whole neshama and with his money. The Alter Rebbe brings in Siman Tov Reish Chavtes that 30 days, Shloshim Yom Koydem Achag, that Shloshim Yom Koydem Achag, you have to start Shel V'Doshim Yana Shel Chag, and it's brought lahalocha lagabi many issues. We spoke about it in the last month. The Alter Rebbe adds these words: the Hainu Mipurim ve'elech Yidrush Hilchas Pesach. The Rebbe asks a shayla. Everyone knows how to look in the calendar, and you know that Shloshim Yom Koydem Achag starts Purim. Actually, there's a Shak Levatarya. Purim itself is your chayiv already. Yeah, it's negay in Beis Menachem Mendel because we bake matzah on Shusham Purim. So, like, you know,
It has a connection.
because you take Maim Shalonu the night before Ben Hashmoshes. Why does Alter Rebbe have to say Mipurim ve'elach? Everyone can look in the calendar. You can count 30 days. The Rebbe says because there's a tzad hashove. Purim and Pesach have a tzad hashove, and that is matonas levyonim. Purim, we start with matonas levyonim, and Pesach we start with kol dechfin yesev yechel, and in the between is kimcha de pischa, moez chitim, the matzah campaign, making sure that every Yid comes to the Seder, making sure every Yid selling his chometz. That is the tzad hashova. The Rebbe has a beautiful word. The Rebbe has a beautiful word about what's pshat matonas lev yoinim of yoinim loshem nabim. In other words, the din is that if you want to give mishloach monos ish l'reyehu one, and of yoinim has to be two. Okay, but haguf a time a boy emes tak, it's a mitzvah to be marbe, but the Rebbe says a nice word that there is an oni. There's a certain type of anim you connect to. There's a certain type of anonim that are big nudges. They call it in America nudge, a big nudge. You don't connect that well to that oni. So the mitzvah is to give evyonim loshan abim to the oni ve'evyin you connect with, and the oni ve'evyin you don't so much connect with. When it comes to mishloach monas of one friend, good. Evyonim, even the evyin you don't connect with. Okay, back to here. Yesh loymar that why do we start with kol dachfin? Just the same like Rebbe Lezer. Just like Rebbe Lezer, in order to be zoicha, to have the night of Pesach is not a dov pasha. Just like my tefillah, we want to be zoicha, that the Eibishter should fulfill our requests. In the night of Pesach, we want to be zoicha to feel chedus amitis. It's not something you could take for granted. So how do we do that? When we declare kol dachfin yesev v'yechel, we declare. We're making a declaration in the house. You should know, Kinderlach, we want to be like Avraham Avinu. Nodev begufay, benishmosay, bemamoinoi. This is, we dedicate ourselves before we start to say that we're making a declaration that our house is a place where kol dechfin yesev v'yechel, kol detzrich yesev v'yifsa. True, right now, no one's going to come in from this declaration. But still, we want to be zoicha, to feel chedus. So it's mida connected mida, just like Rebbe Lezer, which is Yov, Pruta Lohoni, V'odar Matzli. The same thing before we start to say that we make a declaration that our house is a house that's open for every Yid.
Rabbi Khan has a sign outside the door. Every Meshulach or every Ani come to you. If you don't smile to him and ask him what's the problem in this, your tzedakah is no. And he gives you a source from the Gemara for that.
The Tzemach Tzedek, there was a story with the Tzemach Tzedek. There's a story with the Tzemach Tzedek that's it's an unbelievable story about my Yom Yom. The Tzemach Tzedek, the Alter Rebbe, used to come to the Tzemach Tzedek. Mezman Lezman. I mean, after his Ptira. the Alter Rebbe used to come, and the Tzemach Tzedek would keep a list of shilas, and when the Alter Rebbe would come, he would ask all his shilas by the Alter Rebbe. There was a Meshach Zman Oruch B'Yoser that the Alter Rebbe didn't come to him, and he had an unbelievable tsar. The Alter Rebbe was in Olam HaEmes. You can't just. The Alter Rebbe came, he can talk to him. The Alter Rebbe didn't come, he can't talk to him. There was once he was walking to shul in the morning, and there was a butcher that he asked Tzemach Tzedek if he can give him a loan. That Tzemach Tzedek said, for sure, after davening, come to my house, I'll give you a loan. When he came to shul, he was thinking to himself, as he started to put on the talis, went over his shoulder to check the tzitzis. He said to himself, wait a minute. This guy asked me for a loan because it's a Yom HaShuk.
He needs it now.
He needs it now. Yeah, I'm going to daven them by the time I finish. So he ran home, and there was 5 ruble. 5 ruble. Whatever. Back then it was worth something, but still, 5 ruble. And he ran around the marketplace until he found the Yid who asked him for the loan, and he gave him the loan. Yid thanked him. Gegangen. He went back to shul, and since he was mafsik, so he went back to the sink to wash his hands. As soon as he washed his hands, he saw the Alter Rebbe. So that's story number 1.
Someone said it was one of the
Was the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, the grandson of the Alter Rebbe.
Yeah.
The second story I want to tell is a story from Rabbi Gordon. Rabbi Gordon, like many shluchim, or maybe he's Hagaddah of this, many shluchim on Yom Kippur, when they make an appeal.
One of the recordings?
Yeah. Rabbi Yeshua Gordon.
Not the one from Alabama?
No. I don't know if they.
It's in New Jersey.
I don't think they're related.
Oh,
It's
not
a different group.
Not to that family.
Yeah, not that guy.
It's
So 1
Kevin-
second,
it's
Rabbi
Kevin next
Gordon.
to the Rebbe.
Which one?
Rabbi Gordon. The first
Yeah. It's father. His grandfather.
Father, yeah.
His grandfather.
It's a father or the
His grandfather. His
The
grandfather.
one that's still alive, right? The one that gives recordings that has all the.
He's not alive. He passed away very young.
Yeah.
Never. He passed away very young. It was good that he recorded all his shura.
Yeah, amazing, sure.
He was the Rebbe of my son-in-law.
He's a great shliach, and he spoke very well, and he full of chayus. Passed away very young. He passed away a few years ago. It was amazing that he recorded all his shura. So Rabbi Gordon has this thing about that the night of Yom Kippur, he would make an appeal not for money. He would say, Chabad, we're not asking you for money. We want to make an appeal. Today even shluchim have cards. It's a whole thing by shluchim. An appeal for mitzvahs. This year, I'm going to put on film. I'm going to do this, a Shmita Shabbos. Some shluchim even make like a thing, and you could, you put in a pin, whatever, just like you would have with money, but like a whole list of mitzvahs.
On campus has a whole something.
So it's an unbelievable thing. So Rabbi Gordon once said that the emes is that he gets more money from not making appeal than making appeal. He said one of his best balabata was a Yid. He went to a Reform temple, and it was Rosh Yom Kippur, and they wouldn't let him in, didn't buy a seat. He came to Chabad. He sat down. They make an appeal. Not about money. Rabbi Gordon says, I don't want your money. I just want you to commit to do a mitzvah. The guy was so drawn in. Gave much more money to Rabbi Gordon than he would have gotten the $36 or the $54. Rabbi Gordon says, don't worry, I'm getting much more nadavis from not making an appeal than making the appeal. Okay, so here's 2 stories for Kol Dechvin.
Very quickly, how would you type or nadiv? Can you analyze?
Nadiv, generous. Generous.
He was generous with his groceries.
Yeah, his neshama and his money.
His legs.
Okay, number 3.
Maybe fresh in a good way.
Yes. Next. In the 4 kashas, Alle nach von ganz essen, wir kommen zu der Matze, nach dem Pesach essen wir noch Matze. Der Barbanella fragt der Kasche. Heute, the Yidden, the Matzah is like Lachmei Toida, we're thanking the Eibishter. So, and the Demis is, there is the famous Mordechai, the Rosh. Mordechai says the reason we make 3 matzahs, Zecher Lalachmei Toida, it was 40 40 sets of bread. Matzah, 30 of matzah and 1 of chametz. So, and if you made instead of 10, you made 1, you're yoitza. So Lazeicha, that we have 3 matzahs. So, no, carbon toida. For carbon toida. It's carbon toida. This week's parsha, and toida korabone. So, fragt sich the kasha, fragt the barbanel. So, why taka Davish to say not to bring chametz? Why did taka Davish to say not to bring chametz? So the Chassam Sofer answers. I'll give you the some Sofer. It's in the Hagaddah Shapesach of the Chassam Sofer. I'll give you right away the answer, and then I'll give you the mashal instead of going. In this week's parsha, and last week's parsha, we have also about a korban of miluyim. He said this korban, this korban Pesach and the matzahs that are associated is not a regular korban toida. It's like the miluyim. It's like the miluyim. He said like this. Some Sefer says a beautiful marshal. He says, Chazal say that maschel begnus u'mesayem b'shvach. So he said a marshal. Some Sefer said a marshal like this. He said a person had a stain on a baguette. So he brought it to the cleaners. The cleaners has a big bucket with water and a lot of chemicals. And he takes the baguette and he puts it inside. The baguette didn't become clean at this point. The baguette now became more dirty than before. Elamai, after it goes through one bucket of solution, another bucket, then he washes it up with clean water, dries it out, and the baguette is nice and clean. We're celebrating David took us out of Mitzrayim. Why did David put us in Mitzrayim to begin with? Because mitchila oivde avodah zara hoya aveseinu. Because arami oivedovi. Because we had stains. We had stains in our neshama that needed to be cleaned out. So that's why the Eibishter said to Avram Avinu, do you want to have shibud? Do you want to have Gehenim? But they wanted, before the Eden were going to be the Amma Nifka, the chosen people, the Eibishter was going to cleanse them, to clean them. So therefore, we go back and Hagaddah. Why did we go to Mitzrayim to begin with? Because because Arami Evedovi. That's why. So therefore, the main story doesn't just start with coming down to Mitzrayim. It comes down to before that. So that's also the question about the Lachmei Toida. If it was just that we were Mitzrayim and we're thanking the Eibishter for taking us out of Mitzrayim, it would be a regular Korban Toida. But this going to Mitzrayim was only a Hachshara to be able to get the Toida. So this is not a regular Korban Toida. This is like a Korban Miluyim. The Korban Miluyim comes with Matzah alone. There's not with like Korban Toida. If you look in the Parasha, Korban Miluyim is only with Matzah, not with Chometz. So therefore, halay lazeh kulei matzah, it's only matzah. Nice lomdish teretz on some sofer.
Much later.
Huh?
Carbon was much later.
No, dimula. It's similar. It's saying just like Kar Miluyim is only with matzah. It's the same thing here. This is because we're now nichsher lavaydus Hashem. So it's not so much a Korban Toid, it's a Korban Miluyim.
This is why the army took Miluyim reserve.
Yeah,
here?
exactly. Since we're on it, I would.
Is the Toida all year round with only matzah? Or only
all year round.
Year
It's
round.
30 matzah and 10 chametz.
Yeah.
I would say another ted. It's a little like this. The Rebbe, the Rashi, huh?
Because it has to be eaten off the same night.
It has to be eaten that now.
Overnight, and the chametz is easier to digest. So They had helmets.
So the thing is like this. The Rebbe
Sorry,
brings
how many said, oh, you ran, sorry.
30 matzah and 10 chametz. The Rashi says, Imal Toida Korbanoi, and the Rashi goes through the 4 people that bring Korban Toida. And he says everything Baloshan Abi besides Achoyla. Achoyla, he says Baloshan Yochi. So the Rebbe asks why. This is a sikh we once learned. It's from Tavshan Chav Ches. It's in Likutei Sichos Chelek in Beis. Tzav. The Rebbe answers that the Yidden, when they went out of Mitzrayim, they were Yerdei Hayam. They went into the Yamsuf. They were Holchim Midborius, Midbar Agodol Va'anoida. They were also they were also in the Beis Asurim. They were also in the Beis Asurim. But they were not a Choyla. Where is a Choyla? You could say if you want to kvetch. But therefore, there were only 3 out of the 4 was Shaykh by the Yidden. Maybe you could say that the minimum of Korban Toida is 4 breads. Keneged the 4 that are the Arba Tzerichim Lahoides. The Yidden, when they went in Mitzrayim, they were Yerdayam, they were Holchem et Boris, and they were also went out of the Beis Asurim, where they were not so much a Choyla. So therefore, the Choyla is connected with the Chometz. So, but that one is not so Shaykh. Okay. Next, V'yilu lo yoitze HaKadosh Baruch Hu zavitzenu Harayonu v'neinu b'nei b'nei. We're answering the question. Child asked the question, we're answering the question.
Because the Levine didn't work, so they weren't part of the Chayla. Yeah, wasn't
So they should only take 2.
No, there was 3, but the Chayla, though, not every Yid was a Chayla.
Oh, not every Yid was a Chayla. Here. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Okay, yeah. The Minchas Aluzer says that what's the question and what's the answer? He says that the question, the question the kid asks is the Yidden were in Mitzrayim for 210 years. We're in Golos 2,000 years. Yeah. What is going on over here? Why is it that this Golos is so long? It's a bitter question. So that's the answer. What's the answer? What's the answer? I'll say the mashal first. I see it's better to say first the mashal. So he said that the mashal is like this. There was a person that was very sick. So he got so sick he was about to die. They brought a doctor, and the doctor was rushed to his bed. The doctor said, bring him straight to the hospital. Brought him to the hospital. He made an emergency operation. The person recovered. Many years later, the person was sick. He wasn't dying, but he was very, very sick. They called the same doctor. The doctor prescribed medicine for him. The doctor gave him a whole schedule of what to do, going 6 months. After 6 months, another 6 months, what to do. Plan of how to exercise and what to eat and what medicines to take for a whole year. This doctor, last time, it was a surgery. It took 2 hours, and then I recovered. Can't you do a surgery again? Doctor said, then you were about to die. Saved your life. So we did an emergency surgery. You don't do surgery every day. It's not good to do surgery. A person goes under the knife, you never know what happens. A person has anesthesia, you never know what happens. Surgery is not the first solution, it's the last solution. So therefore, I'm giving you medicine because you're not terminally ill. I'm giving you a way to exercise. I'm giving you a plan for a year, and you'll be healthy and you'll be good. Zog the Minchas Aluzer. The Yidden would be in the Memta Sharis Tumah, they would sink, never to come out again. So what did Rebbeinu Shalom do? He had no choice. He made emergency surgery. Take him straight out. But now it's not that way. We have the Torah, and we have a way to stand strong, not Chas v'Shalom to sink. It's not a kunst to always do an emergency surgery. The Eibishter gave us, it's taka much more painful, and it takes much longer. But this is the secure way to get to the Geula, not by emergency surgery, but by Yidden eating right, exercising right, doing what the Eibishter gives us to do, the prescription that the Eibishter gives us for life. And that's going to bring us. So that's a pshat, the kid, Frek. What's going on? They were 200 years in Golis and we're 2,000 years in Golis. So he's saying, you have to understand, over there, we would have been, we would sink into Memte Sharatu Tumma with no reprieve. So there was no choice. It was an emergency surgery.
We can't say that about our own goal. Let's look how many people we lose by assimilation.
Okay. I'm on a roll tonight. I'm just going from one Dvar Torah to the next. You add, you subtract. And when you say the Dvar Torahs, please don't say it in the name of Rabbi Morozov. Say it as your own. Say it as your own Dvar Torah. Add, subtract, slug up. It's your play-doh.
כל האומר דבר בשם אומרו, מביא גאולה
Make
לעולם.
it mamish yours that you shouldn't even have to say it in my name. Be coin it should become mamish yours. Okay.
By the way, she's saying today, and even though the goal is very long, we have to Torah and what else?
So therefore, we don't have to do emergency surgery.
Take it
But
time.
we still go.
Right? It takes time.
What to do.
Right? Yeah.
It's just a follow the Torah. Well, do
Yeah. Um. Okay. There's the Chochem and there's the Rosh. All Meforshim ask that the Chochem and the Rosh almost ask the same question. Now, what's the answer? We tell them, "Ein maftirim achar haPesach afikoyman." So the Pashup Shat is that we teach them all the halachas down to the last halacha, which is Ein maftirim achar haPesach afikoyman. That's nice. It's Taka the Pshat. That is Taka the Pshat. But a nice word from Reb Shlomo Kluger. Nice words from Shlomo Kluger. There was a person, a marshal. He got a worker to work because he wanted to build a house. He was going to build himself a palatial house. So he bought a big field. It was full of wheat, barley, it was growing. So he got a worker to the guy's cutting. At the end of the day, he says to the worker, "No, what's going to be?" He says, "It should take me another 4 days. The whole field will be clean and clear. Yeah, I don't need you tomorrow. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to announce this is Hefker, whoever wants, call it Fin, could take. I need to get my workers to start working already. Would you let me to take? Yeah, sure, you can take." By the time the Balabas came the next day, the whole field was already cut. It was all done. You couldn't tell that there was anything there. The worker cut everything and put it into bags and took it home. Zakir Shlomo Kluger like this. The question, the Rosh asks, what's the point of the mitzvahs? And the Chochem asks, what's the point of the mitzvahs? But the Chochem wants to know, what's the main thing of the mitzvahs? Is it the mitzvah or is it the reward of the mitzvah? So we're telling him it's not the reward of the mitzvah. It's the mitzvah itself. It's not the reward of the mitzvah. Like the Gemara says, Navadizorah Daf Yutes, Ashrei Yish Yores Hashem, B'mitzvoisev chofetz ma'oid, B'mitzvoisev v'loi b'skar mitzvoisev. The mitzvah itself has unbelievable chshivas. So it's not about, the question is, what's that? The Rosh says, what do I get? What kind of money? What do I get out of it? The Chochem understands that Taka, the whole thing of the mitzvah is not what a reward I'll get, but the schus to do the mitzvah of the Eibishter.
What's the lesson?
Huh?
What's the lesson?
The pasuk is Ashri Ish Yores Hashem mitzvaysev chafetz ma'oid, mitzvaysev v'lo b'schar mitzvaysev. So that's a pshat. We tell them, "Hey, maftir achar Pesach afikoyim." Pesach is the mitzvah. What's afikoyman? Dessert. So the mitzvah is very sweet to us. We're not trying to, oh, now let's relax and let's have dessert. The mitzvah itself is important to us, not the dessert that comes after the mitzvah. It's a little kid, you want to get him to do a mitzvah, so you promise ice cream. If you make a mitzvah chart and then they get all the stars in the mitzvah chart, they'll get an ice cream. Okay? That's for a little child. But the Ben Chochem were telling him, it's mitzvahs, but lo yischar mitzvahs. Ein machtirin achara Pesach afikoyman. The Indian is the mitzvah itself.
The taste of the mitzvahs.
Yeah. Not the schar from the mitzvah.
You can't you can't eat after the end of the day anyways.
That's the word.
Right.
To be mashish in us, to have the
Yeah.
feeling, to inculcate this idea that the main thing is the mitzvah, not the ice cream that comes after the mitzvah, not the reward of the mitzvah. The main thing is the mitzvah. Okay, so word from Shlomo Kluger. A very nice word. Man versteht sich, Tzidus is schar mitzvah, the whole thing of a mitzvah is tzavtze v'chibur, to become one with the Eibishter.
So much I'm gonna eat in that word.
Exactly. Okay. Next. What's the next word here? Dalet Bon. Oh. Pashan Yud Zayin. The Rebbe came out with a campaign. The Rebbe said, Keneged Arba Bonim Divrei Torah, that for many years there was only 4 children. There was the Chochem, the Rosha, the Tam, and Sheini de Elisha. The Rebbe said that L'Davrinenu, unfortunately today there's a 5th son. The son that doesn't come to the Seder. And we have to make sure that every single one of the children of Klal Yisrael comes to the Seder. From then on, this is a big thing in Chabad. The 5th son, to bring the 5th son to the table, to the Seder table. Kiyadua, the Rebbe was asked about having an empty chair. This was relevant last year, this year too. People have said they should make an empty chair at the table of the Seder for Nebuch, for the Yidden that is still it's sort of the Shivya. But everyone remembers that years ago, someone wrote a letter to the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, someone wrote they should make a special minhag that in honor of the Kedoshim of the Shoyot, that there should be an empty chair at the Seder. The Rebbe said, there shouldn't be an empty chair. If you have another chair, another space at the table, bring another Yid. They should sit at your table. Don't leave an empty chair.
Oliver says Yayin is the Rosh Hashanah Nitzvah Yisrael Yochanes.
Say a shame. Through Yayin.
Yeah.
So the Rebbe made a big campaign, the 5th son. I always say that the schus of bringing the 5th son was to drink the 5th kos. Who's the 5th kos? It's kos shalal. So the schus of the 5th son, you'll have the 5th kos. There's a nice story. There's a shliach in Hong Kong. He at that time, Rabbi Aftzen, all these other shluchim outgrew him so much. Hong Kong is not the hottest place right now. He brought down the shluchim to Nepal and to Thailand and to China, v'chulu. So he said that he was for many years he would send bochrim, Talmidei Yeshiva, to run the Seder in Nepal. I think Nepal, Hayoim, is they boast that they have the biggest Seder. The biggest Seder.
Israelis?
Yeah. A few thousand. That's a big number. It's something crazy number. At that time, they needed a place. For many years, they were doing it in the courtyard where there was the Israeli consulate. Before Pesach, he would call the Israeli consulate and make arrangements for the Talmidei Yeshiva to be able to make the Seder in the courtyard of the Israeli consulate. And one year he called, and the consulate says to him, "Are you crazy? There is a curfew. They tried to turn. There was a coup, a military coup. They tried to turn over the government. Things are very dead. There was a curfew at night." He said, "Well, are you crazy?" He said, "Okay, I'm not sure. Let me see." He called to the Rebbe's secretary, Rabbi Hagaddah, and he told him what happened. Rabbi Hagaddah said, "I'll get back to you." V'charekev called him back and said, the Rebbe said that the coup will be over before Pesach. So there will not be a curfew. Okay. The Shliach is very excited. He calls up Israeli consulate. He gives him the information. Lubavitch Rebbe said, there's no more coup, no more. Consulate said it very nice. Lubavitch Rebbe to say. But the situation here on the ground is very serious. And there is a curfew. So I don't know what you're talking about. Erev Pesach in the morning, the curfew was lifted. In the Poil, they had the Seder in courtyard of the Israeli consulate.
Who was the shofar? Okay.
Afton. Yeah. Hakeshinov. Hakeshinov. Number 7. Hakeshinov. There's a beautiful mashal from the Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh about this. What does it mean Hakeshinov? What does it mean Hakeshinov? This word from the Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh is in Pashas Kiteitzei. The Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh says like this. The people in the country are having a problem because there's Ganovim, there's bandits. They come to the Melech and they complain. The Melech finds out that there is discord in the country. He sends the guards, he sends the police. He doesn't want there should be Gnevis in town. Okay. But what do you do when all the people around the Melech, they are the thieves themselves, they're the thugs themselves? What are you supposed to do then? It's not going to help. They're not going to give over the message to the Melech. So sometimes the problem with the Rosh is that you can't get to him because his gaiva is very big, and the gaiva is so big that you can't. So sometimes they have to a little bit break down the gaiva in order to be able to get through to him, to be able to communicate with him. These are the gates, like the key, because this is like the gatekeepers. Teeth, I consider like the gatekeepers. Okay, number 8. Number 8. Beautiful words from the Rebbe. The Sholosh Regalim. The Sholosh Regalim is Pesach is Keneged Avram, like it says Lushi Vasi Ugois, and we know that Rashi says that was the time of Pesach. Shavuos is Keneged Yitzchak, because the shofar that they blew Man Torah was from Eila Shel Yitzchak. Sukkos is Keneged Yaakov, because it says Ela Mikneos of Sukkos. In Chassidus it says that Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are Keneged the 3 midas of Kedusha: Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes. Pesach is Chesed. V'zacharti lecho Chesed Neurayich, which is the pasuk in Yirmiyah. So that has to shaykhs to Avraham Avinu. Sukkos is Shavuos. Okay, Shavuos is Ma'am Torah Seinu. As a shaykhs dafke to Yitzchak, because it says Anoichi v'lo yelecha mipi hagevura shamanu. Mipi hagevura shamanu. Veidaber elakim kim loshem gevura. And the third is the Chag Sukkos, which is Chag Osuf. Osuf means the bracha has no bounds, which is the idea of Yaakov, which is Nachla B'li Metzora. And the Chassidus also says that it says in the Mishnah, Isha Niknas Mishloisha Drachim. A woman could become connected to her husband in 3 ways. The Kesef B'Shtara B'Biyah. Isha, Chassidus says, is Knesset Yisrael. Niknas Labaila Takadosh Baruch Hu. B'Shloisha Drachim, there's 3 ways. One is Kesef. Kesef is through Abba. Abba is in of Nichsef. Kesef is Nichsef Nechsafta Leveis Avicha. Koisef, to yearn. A Yid yearns to come close to Hashem. That's one way to get connected to the Eibishter. That's Chesed, and that's Ava, and that's the Midah of Avraham Avinu, and that's why Kichem is the Ephraim. We learn the idea of Kesed from a thing which is connected to Avraham Avinu. Asati kesav hasoda kach mimeni. So that's the first thing. The first way a Yid connects to the Eibush, to the Isha and the Ish, is through Kesef, through Ava, which is Midosoi of Avram Avinu. The second way to connect to the Eibush is a shtar. What's the shtar? The shtar is the Torah. The shtar is the contract between the Eibush and the Yid. And that's the union of Yitzchak. Bia is Yaakov. Yaakov is the ultimate, after Yid daven Shachris and Mincha, he made Arvis. Arvis is Rishus. Why? Because it's so deep. The connection is so deep, you can't even give a tzivui, a mitzvah for it. Okay, so this is a shaykhus of 3 Yom Tovim to Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Okay, number 9. B'chol doir v'doir.
Who's this?
This is the Rebbe. This is a sikh from the Rebbe, Parsha Shmini Tov Shalom Adalet. B'chol doir v'doir. Every generation, a person has to see that he just went out of Mitzrayim. He just right now went out of Mitzrayim. What does it mean that I'm going out of Mitzrayim? So, Ki'ilu, Chassidus says Ki'ilu means you can't expect that you, but at least Ki'ilu. But what is the Ki'ilu? What's the Ki'ilu Yotze Mitzrayim mean? Chassidus says that the word Mitzrayim means Meitzar Ugvul. Meitzar. We spoke about it a little bit in the Maimah from B'chol Doir V'Doir, Maimah from Yud Aleph Nissen. But we spoke about it this Shabbos. But I'm going to add a little to what we said Shabbos. I'll be Makatza what we already said, and I'll be Ma'arech what we didn't say. Okay. Mitzrayim is Meitzar. Limitations. Every person, unfortunately, has limitations. A lot of them are self-imposed. Because the neighbor thinks, Azoy, the Goldbergs and the Joneses, Amgi became the big frumi, who am I? Or it's imposed over because of my nefesh abahamis, or because my Yetzirah, or even my nefesh alakis. There's certain limitations to how much my tefillah, how much my Torah. I get a little distracted, mitnamol kenshenish davenen. Things are going on in the business, mitnamol I can't learn. Or sometimes there's a limitation of my tzedakah. So there is Metzarim. Where does the Metzarim come from? The original Metzar comes from the first Tzimtzum. A Yid is Midah Keneged Midah. When a Yid breaks his own Metzarim, his own boundaries, and he adds in his Kvisitim L'Toida, he adds his Kavona B'Tfila, he adds in his Tzedakah. So Midah Keneged Midah, the Eibishter breaks the boundaries of Golus. And the Eibishter gives the Yid unbelievable amount of bracha, the gashmias, and then the Yid turns it into ruchnis, like the Alter Rebbe says. So that's b'chol dor v'dor, and the Alter Rebbe adds b'chol yom v'yom. Every day a Yid has to break new boundaries. Every day a Yid has to break new boundaries. This is the 101 of Chassidus of what Pesach is all about. This is not just the 9th Dvar Torah on the list. This is what. But what happened was the Shabbos. I had an orach in our house, and it's just a beautiful word. My daughter Baruch Hashem, she won 3rd year in a row. Championship in Sefer HaMitzvahs in the Kedon Sefer HaMitzvahs. She displays it in the dining room. Her trophies. So we had an orach this Friday night. He said a beautiful thing. He was a great football player, and his whole thing in school was he wanted to make it to college football. Maybe it was basketball. But the difference will make no difference. It was football or basketball. And he was always winning. And Takaza, he made it to college football.
NBA.
But when he got the first game in college football, he failed miserably. He said years later it occurred to him that his whole yearning, his whole goal was to get to college football. But he never had a goal, an aspiration to win. His goal was to get to college football. So he got there. That's it. Once he got there, he got there. Now, he didn't have any further aspirations. He said, maybe if I had further aspirations, who knows? But that was my whole thing as a kid, to get to college football. So I got there. I got to college football, but I didn't have further aspirations. So I was thinking, Siddur says that the first Pasha in Shema is B'chol Moedecha, which is Mesidas Nefesh. The second one doesn't have B'chol Moedecha. The Gemara says, because the first one is Oisen Etzon Shamokim. It's much a higher level in Avodas Hashem. The first Shema, a Jew totally gives himself over to the Eibishter. The second, which is Fadreit. You start with the bigger level of Avodas Hashem, and then you go lower. I mean, it doesn't work. It's the other way around. You start lower and you go higher. You start lower and you go higher. You don't start higher and go lower. Ma'ila B'Kodesh. The Rebbe says, true. But the Torah, when the Torah is talking to a Yid, the Torah says you have to right away, when you start the Avodas Hashem, to set the bar very high. Otherwise, you're just going to get to college football, but you're never going to win. You're going to get to college football, but you're not going to win even the first game. We set the goal, we set it very high. The goal is set not only b'chol avovcha, b'chol nafshecha, but also b'chol meidecha. The point when we start Avodas Hashem, we take step by step. But the goal is right away. He knows right in the beginning that the goal is b'chol meidecha. Okay, so to summarize, the 9th Dvar Torah from tonight is that Yitzis Mitzrayim Api Chassidus. What's Yitzis Mitzrayim? Every generation. What does it mean every day? That we break boundaries. We have boundaries that are self-imposed. It's from the neighbor. It's from our Yetzer Hara. It's from our Nefesh Halakis. We break boundaries and we say that no, we can learn more Torah. We have a better Kvisitim La Torah. We can have more Kavan in Tefillah. We can have better Tzedakah. And that when we break Mida Keneged Mida, when we break our boundaries, the Eibishter breaks the boundaries of Golus. Okay, last Dvar Torah for tonight, the 10th Dvar Torah for Hasidah Yeh Kodesh. I'm reading here the last piece. It's a piece in the Rebbe's Hagaddah. Pam Omer Li Amoir, my father told me, the Rebbe Rashab, this is a quote from the Sikh from the Frierdiker Rebbe. Yosef Yitzchak bedacht trachten b'meshech haseder zu sein a Mensch. Wird der Eibishter helfen, befrat beis Psychos Adelos. The whole Seder, you have to think about, he was a little boy when his father told him, trachten sein a Mensch. So the Eibishter will help, especially by Psychos Adelos. Ask the Eibishter, but nit bet kein Gashmias, bet Ruchnis. If the doors are already open, don't ask for something small, ask for Ruchnis. Rabbi Yoel Khan said that in the early years, the Rabbi Chadikov told him that after Yechidus, he used to go into the Rebbe's office. The Rebbe told him, unusual, Rabbi Chadikov, the Rebbe's secretary. When the Rebbe finished the evening of Yechidus, the Rabbi Chadikov would come in to his office. Usually the Rebbe never told, everything was secret. The Rebbe said, I want to tell you something tonight. Ayid asked that he feels that he does the things that he does, he's a very big asken, he does a lot of mitzvahs, but he feels he's doing things shaloi lishma. He's not doing it for the right reasons. He's looking for honor, recognition, not to do the mitzvah. So the Rebbe said, I told him a mashal. Person is doing business. Person's doing business. He closed the deal, and the deal is giving him $1 million profit. Today it sounds like playing geld, $1 million. Right? $1 million. Das ist gewisserweise Hofchen Yitches. 1958, maybe. $1 million is a lot of money. So, but as he's finishing the deal, he found 10 cents on the floor. 10 cents. I'll say he'll come home, tell his wife, I made $1 million clean. Plus 10 cents. Maybe a typish. Be a typish to do such a thing. The Rebbe said, the mitzvah, schar mitzvah is the mitzvah itself. That's $1 million. So you're going to tell me you get carried away about the 10 cents, a little bit of covet, a little bit of honor, a little bit of recognition.
Aber dem Brot,
That's it. Huh? What? For the 10 cents? You get carried away for the 10 cents? For $1 million. You just made $1 million. How can you get carried away for the 10 cents? So that was the Rebbe's eitzah for this Yid who complained that he has. It's a little bit of unexpected because I'm trying to give you tonight 10 vartoidas that he should think about it. That if he wants honor recognition, it's like this guy who came home with $1 million profit,
Right.
and he's excited about the 10 cents that he found on the floor. Honor recognition is 10 cents. When you do a mitzvah, you're tzavtza v'chiba with the Eibishter. That's $1 million. So how could you be excited about 10 cents when you just made $1 million?
When you connect it with
Yeah. So how could you be excited about 10 cents when you just made $1 million? So the Rebbe gave him this exercise to think, to expunge the Nadisha thought that honor, recognition, covet, this, that. You just did a mitzvah. That's $1 million. Don't think about the 10 cents. Think about the $1 million. Okay. That's it for tonight. Eb shall helfen. Dikir should be ligad telebincha. If anyone could take with you a paper, even though it's more Borim Shabaped than Borim Shabiksav, but I write it down every year. I go to my Seder with this piece of paper. Because again, at the Seder that people are coming, people are going. So I look down and I hope that like I said before, you don't have to say anything b'shem oimroi. Dik it is that the Eivish is a halfim that you should be able to have a Seder in a way that you not only you feel chaydas, that everyone around the table should feel chaydas amitis or should be chaydas amitis b'vis Mashiach Tzidkenu.
When I walk on the street and if I see a penny or a dime, I always pick it up because Hashem wants me to take it. I said, can't go anywhere
Sure.
to the Pushkin.
Pushka, okay. Where?
Where
Where does the penny belong?
It's the book.
Yeah, the penny, right? Penny.
Still looking great.
I don't.